morning and welcome to the Medina County Commissioners meeting for August 24th, 2021. Please stand for the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
In our prayer for the morning, Heavenly Father, we beseech your divine guidance in this meeting. Keep us ever mindful of our obligations. Grant us, dear Lord, wisdom, tolerance, and courage, that we may well serve our county and fulfill our trust. Amen. Steve, could I have a motion to approve the various minutes?
Sure. Move to approve the minutes of August 17th as well as the special meetings of August 18th.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Hambley?
Yes.
Sweattick?
Yes.
Hudson?
Yes. And I'm going to change the order up here a little bit. We have one commissioner's resolution, and I want to do that first so we can let folks go. This resolution is to recognize August 31st, 2021 as Overdose Awareness Day in Medina County. The International Overdose Awareness Day is recognized globally to acknowledge those whose lives have been lost and to raise awareness about the risks of overdose and to acknowledge the grief felt by family, friends, and communities when remembering those who have died. This day also aims to publicly challenge the stigma associated with substance abuse and reminds us that no one should feel shame at the death of someone from this disease. In 2020, Medina County recorded more than 278 drug-related emergency room visits, resulting in 42 deaths, shattering the lives of families, friends, and devastating the community. Medina County remains committed to raising awareness surrounding overdose morbidity and mortality by reducing stigma through education, prevention, treatment, and recovery support. This day is an opportunity to stand beside those who have lost loved ones and those who are diligently working toward recovery, and to remind them that they are supported, deserving of dignity and respect, and worthy of recovery. Be it resolved by the Board of Commissioners, who hereby proclaim August 31st, 2021 as Overdose Awareness Day in Medina County, and the Board of Commissioners hereby offers hope to those in and seeking recovery from addiction and comfort to families, friends, and loved ones of those lost too soon.
Move to approve.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Hambley?
Yes.
Sweattick?
Yes.
Hudson?
Yes. Stephanie, would you like to come up? And Phil, would you like to come up? First off, no, please come on. Would either of you like to make any comments? You're welcome to.
I'm here to support Stephanie.
I'll always talk. Hi, this is Stephanie Robinson. I'm the Executive Director of Hope Recovery Community. I'm also a person in long-term recovery, which means I haven't had drugs or alcohol for over 13 years now. So I'm going to get emotional, but I just want to thank you so much for the resolution for acknowledging Overdose Awareness Day. We've got an addiction crisis on our hands, but thanks to the Adam Board and to the support of the county and to citizens and organizations, we're able to provide recovery support services today and break that stigma. Medina is doing a fantastic job, and we've come really far. We've still got a long way to go. And next Tuesday, we will have an overdose awareness event in the Brunswick Nazarene, Church of Nazarene at 6:30. So if you want to join us, please do. But just grateful for the proclamation and grateful for the support.
Just real quick.
I know you'll talk.
I'll be brief. Yes, thank you. And on behalf of the Adam Board, Stephanie and the Hope Recovery community, we can't tell you enough the good that they've done in the very short period that they've really been in existence. I remember a few years ago having a meeting in our conference room and saying, and they said, this is what we'd like to see. And we sat there and we talked for a couple of weeks and looked at the vision, and I'll tell you, they've already passed that vision. And what does that mean? And they couldn't do it without the support of the county commissioners as well. So we have a great board here, we have a great board at the Adam Board, but they've already surpassed all that they've tried to do, and they just want to keep going. We can't keep up with them. And what that means is the citizens in recovery in Medina County have so many different supports to help them. That's a terrible disease. and it requires a lot of help, a lot of assistance. There's a lot of back. I mean, you relapse, it happens. But with the support and all that Hope Recovery Community is doing, it brings hope, and we've seen it. So really, we're here just to support Hope Recovery Community and all that they have done. Thank you for that proclamation, and once again, thank you for your support. Thanks.
Thank you. Thank you, Stephanie. Steve, have to get a picture.
All of us?
All of us, of course.
All short. Where?
Stephanie, why don't
You
come
guys are
over
the
to
center of attention. You too. You too.
Okay. Is this where you give us the check?
Oh, thank you.
Oh,
One more.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
you so much. Yes.
And you're welcome to stay for the rest of the meeting, or I see Phil at the door, so. He knows the drill. Okay, we will move on to our resolutions. First up this morning, we have Andy Conrad, our county engineer.
Good morning.
Good morning, Andy.
Good morning.
Well, mine may not be as impactful as the previous resolution, but we do have two resolutions. First, accepting and awarding a bid for a crack seal project, and the second resolution is disposal of excess property for one vehicle.
Move to approve both resolutions.
Second?
Got a motion and a second. Any discussion? Roll call.
Hambley?
Yes.
Sweattick?
Yes.
Hudson?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. And the weekly permit list should be there.
Yep, thank you, Andy. Next up, we have Scott Miller, our county administrator. Good morning, Scott.
Good morning. So I'm going to go ahead and present the finance resolutions first, and then I'll present mine.
Okay.
Finance has 17 resolutions. So the first two resolutions are the increase or decrease of appropriations. This is done either through the increase or transfer those appropriations. The next 13 resolutions are creating funds and appropriating monies when necessary. The first fund being created is the mandatory drug fund. The second is the operating vehicle intoxicated fines fund. Next is the adult probation drug court specialized docket payroll subsidy project fund. It's appropriating $45,000. Next is the creation of an adult probation mental health specialized docket payroll subsidy project fund and authorizing appropriations of $20,000. Next is the creation of a targeted community alternative to prison grants FY 22 and 23 and authorizing appropriations of $824,332. The next is creation of the Drug Task Force Ohio Drug Law Enforcement Fund and is authorizing appropriations of $78,964.29. Next is the creation of a Justice Reinvestment Incentive Grant FY 22-23 fund and authorizing appropriations of $470,968. Next is the creation of a Justice Reinvestment Incentive Grant fund and authorizing appropriations of $143,448. Next is the creation of a Juvenile Court Special Docket fund and authorizing appropriations of $55,000. This is resolution number 12 and is the creation of an Office for Older Adults Senior Prevention Services Fund and authorizing $10,400. Next is the creation of the Sheriff Office Vehicle Training Fund and authorizing $7,000. Then we have the creation of the Sheriff's Office Opioid Response Team Fund, authorizing $50,000 in appropriations. And then we have the final one of creating the Drug Use Prevention Grant Program FY22 Fund and authorizing $82,135.33. Then resolution number 16 is allowing expenses of county officials. There's one for the county commissioners, for the CCAO American Rescue Plan Act Symposium with 2 employees going. The next is Veteran Services for the Ohio State Association of County Veteran Services with 2 employees attending. And then we have the adult probation, responding to needs of victims with 2 employees attending. And then the final resolution is approving the claims against the county in the amount of $937,590.59.
Move to approve the 17 resolutions.
Second?
Got a motion and a second. Any questions? Roll call, please.
Hambley?
Yes.
Sweattick?
Yes.
Hudson?
Yes. Okay, Scott, so you're
Okay.
going to continue on with your resolutions here?
Yes. So the first resolution is authorizing the retention of Gilbane Building Company as a construction manager, and approving a letter to proceed. We had they have all the bids in for the courthouse. We did some value engineering last week. I think we'll be pleased with the guarantee maximum price number 3. They're finalizing that now. But in order to lock those bids in, they needed a letter signed to proceed so that the contractors could go ahead and order the material to lock in those prices. So this resolution is approving that process. The second resolution is authorizing consulting agreements with Involta. There's actually 2 service orders. The first service order is engaging them to assist us with the actual finding an individual to head up the IT for the county commissioners. And the second resolution, or the second service order, is their assistance on bringing that person on board and working through the assessments that they did on those systems under the county commissioners. So this is in a total amount of $34,000, with $10,000 being the recruiting aspect and $24,000 with the onboarding.
Move to approve both resolutions.
Second?
Got a motion and a second. Any questions, discussion? Roll call, please.
Hambley?
Yes.
Sweattick?
Yes.
Hudson?
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you, Scott.
Thank you.
Okay, next we have Holly Murin, our Human Resources Director. Good morning, Holly.
Good morning. On our personal changes resolution today, we have 1 suspension and maintenance, 2 leave of absence, 1 at county home and 1 in sanitary, and 3 resignations, 1 at job and family services, 1 in sanitary, and 1 in maintenance.
Move to approve.
Second?
Got a motion and a second. Any questions? Roll call.
Hambley?
Yes.
Sweattick?
Yes.
Hudson?
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you, Holly. Next, we have Jeremy Cinco, our sanitary engineer.
Morning, everyone.
Good morning, Jeremy.
2 resolutions for consideration today. The first is authorizing the sanitary engineer to enter into contract negotiations to replace the existing scales at the Medina County Solid Waste District. That's with Kanawha Scales and Systems. And the second is authorizing the sanitary engineers to enter into an agreement with Jones & Henry Engineers for professional design services to monitor the flow of sanitary sewers along Medina Road. That's that's to help us determine the capacity needed on State Route 18.
Move to approve both resolutions.
Second?
Got a motion and a second. Any questions? Roll call.
Hambley?
Yes.
Sweattick?
Yes.
Hudson?
Yes.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jeremy. We will move into our department updates now. First off, we have Richard Nelson, our Chief Building Official.
Good morning.
Morning.
Good morning, Richard.
You have copies of our report. Good. We had a couple more $1 million plus homes recently, so it's raised the average cost of new homes up a little bit, up near $435. And moving to the second page.
Actually, Richard, the average cost for July is $511, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
So I think that number
Yes.
is way up, but isn't
That is way up.
The average construction year to date, it was like almost 470 at one time, if I recall. That sounds right?
I don't think.
No?
Possibly, but
Okay.
maybe. I thought it's been hovering around 420
That could
year
be.
to date.
Still a lot of money.
It is. It indeed is. It's almost shocking. Of course, with the material prices. Second page, our receipts for July compared to a year ago were down. But third page, year-to-date receipts are still good and, higher than last year. And overall, we're under our budget this year pretty well also. And other pages, of course, are the fine details of the townships. Other items, other things happening in our department. We did have have an inspector resign. He's going to go to the state, be an inspector for the state's building department. And we had an applicant who just recently got his certification from the state, so he applied yesterday, and we're moving him forward. So that should be good. Hopefully it'll be a good thing to pick up where the other fella's leaving off. Other items happening, we recently issued partial C of Os to all the schools, all those big school projects in the county, and we'll soon be issuing full C of Os, essentially just in time for school to start. So they did pretty good with those big projects.
So, just for clarification for the public, C of O, certificate of occupancy?
Correct. Yeah. Yes. And our response times remain very good. Under 2 days for residential and about 16 days for commercial response times, getting back to the applicants on their
That's excellent.
projects. Yes, it is good. It's been working out real good. Yeah, that's all I have.
Richard, do you have any feel for the average square footage of houses that have been approved?
Well, it could be in here somewhere.
I don't think it's in the report. I'm just, if you general.
They of course can run all crazy numbers, but they're probably in the range of 4,000
square feet.
3,000 to 4,000 square feet. Yeah, they don't build starter homes anymore. Amazingly, hardly.
That's a big house.
Yeah, yeah. And of course, some of them are way bigger than that, 9,000 and 10,000. Yes.
That's crazy.
Anything further?
Very good. Questions? Thank you, Richard.
Thank you.
Next up, we have Shannon Ryan, our Transit Director.
Good morning.
Good morning, Shannon.
Good morning. So our monthly report, obviously we're looking at our ridership. It's fluctuating quite a bit month to month, year over year. Our demand services have remained pretty constant. We've been able to deliver that service pretty consistently. Our fixed route ridership is fluctuating, like I said, in Medina and Brunswick. Wadsworth seems to be picking up and returning basically to normal, a little bit above, so we're happy to see that. We're maintaining cost. Our service delivers a lot of critical services, medical trips, agency trips. We had a lot of compliments for us maintaining that service, so I'm very proud of my team for that. The agency trips that we're providing, we're seeing some fluctuations in that, especially veteran services. Looking into those numbers and making sure that we capture all the proper numbers there, but I think the service is consistent year from last year, but it's not returning like I'd hoped. I think that the day's events, the recent events, are causing folks to do more telehealth again. I'm hearing that feedback again, so that impacts our ridership.
So Shannon, after experiencing telehealth,
Yep.
do you think they're just continuing down that path as opposed to trying, even if they had the transportation available and we didn't have a resurgence, do you think they'd stick with it generally?
Knowing what's happened over the last couple of years, I think it's a preference of the doctors, not the people. I think they want to go from what we're hearing, but they're calling and canceling appointments because doctors are saying, I would see you, we'll just do a telehealth. So we're seeing some of that. So I think it's a preference of the physicians. Not sure if but that's what we're hearing from the customers, the passengers. Okay. So a few of the things that we applied for an Odot grant to buy new vehicles. We applied for $400,000. We were awarded $64,000. Out of the 5 we wanted to buy, we got approved to buy 1. So we're going to apply for that grant, follow through with that, and then have to dip into some of our other 5307 funds, which is federal grants to buy vehicles, replacement vehicles. So we're working on that, although there is some interruptions in getting vehicles with the manufacturers. I don't know if that's going to change anytime soon, so a 6 to 8 month process becomes a year pretty quick. Mm-hmm. So we're working on that, but we're doing a great job with the county maintenance. We've only heard good things, good partnerships with Stevens Group. We continue to see the benefits of that project. I think it's really allowing us to maintain the fleet better, response time of customer needs and things like that. So if we park a vehicle for an oil change, we can go retrieve it if we need it. And his team's been very, very supportive of that. Our challenges have been hiring. We have hired 3 drivers, 2 are getting ready to start. One's doing a background check, and I have an interview I need to run to right after this. So the good news is we're bringing folks in. The difficult times is folks are also retiring and things like that. So we're really challenged with that. Holly's team's been very responsive for that. That's something that's top of mind every single day. These critical services are needed. We're also excited.
Shannon,
Yes. Sorry.
That's all right. So from a requirement standpoint of qualifications for your drivers, do they need to have a CDL?
No, that's changing. We hire non-CDL drivers that can pass the background check, the physical, basically the pre-employment process. Good driving records required, but we're hiring folks and then training them within a year to get their CDL, and that's worked out pretty well. About 6 months in, folks start showing interest in doing that. We try to get them, through training and ready, prepared. Although the CDL test is more challenging than I think they first anticipated, so they need to focus. But yeah, we're hiring people that have good qualifications in driving and great customer service, of course. So,
yeah. But from the requirements, they can come on, be a driver, and not have
Absolutely.
a CDL.
Absolutely.
And then you offer that as a benefit if they want to go on and pursue it. Is that?
Yeah, that's exactly right, Bill. I think folks believe up front that they need to have that CDL, and they don't. So that is a falsehood that I've heard that's not true. They can come in and we'll train them.
All right. Thank you.
Yep, I did have a couple more things.
Oh, no.
Strategic plan.
Thanks for answering my question.
Yeah, no. The strategic plan, we saw 3 proposals come in. We did some initial note-taking, and of the 3, we're going to have meetings, in-person meetings or virtual meetings with them. I spoke to Scott and Amy about it, so we'll have them in to interview them and then make a choice on an official scoring. We got some pretty good, reputable folks that have a lot of energy around transit and are planning for the next 5 to 10 years. I'm super excited about seeing what they offer and what we can produce because the county needs it. I've been a part of 2 different most recent, I think you're both there for the Ohio Community Development Plan and also the Medina, the mayor's steering committee. It's all about transit. So we'll be able to produce some good things and show what we can do to support the county that way. And one other thing I'll mention is the masked requirement on public transit was extended to from September 13th to January 18th. So we're required to do that on our buses. So we're still buying equipment. We're still utilizing those funds we have to make sure the drivers have hand sanitizer on board, the mask and things like that. And we're also cleaning our buses daily, if not every, throughout the day to make sure they're sanitized so people can feel safe riding. So
That requirement is imposed by the CDC, correct?
it's a CDC, it's a combination of CDC and the TSA. I printed out the article. I wanted to see if anything had changed, if they got more stringent or more lax. It's basically the same carryover. So, okay.
All right.
And that is all.
All right. Thank you, Shannon.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Very good report. Next, we have Debbie Kiley from Job and Family Services.
Morning.
Good morning.
I will, as customary, go through each division. First up is Child Protective. To date, the agency has received just over 1,100 abuse and neglect calls. We usually initiate about a third of those calls that come in. Sometimes they come in and they're not severe enough for us to seek an investigation. So we're still maintaining about 30% that we go out and investigate on. We continue to have about 80 children in care. Right now, exactly, we have 83 children in care as of July 31st. And of those children in our care, 22 are placed with relatives, 15 are in residential settings, and the balance, which is 46, they're either in non-relative foster care or they're currently in a trial visit, hoping for permanency to go back home. The division has just started the state's annual review process, and that's a comprehensive review of protective cases, systems, processes, basically in everything that they do. We've significantly improved in some areas since our last review. Unfortunately, one finding, they it's not a citing, but it's an area for needed improvement. It's a non-financial penalty, but it's something that we have to write a continuous improvement plan for. So I'm meeting with not only the administrator, but with staff to talk about, like, where's the deficiency, what are the problems, things like that. It's not that they're not data entry. They have to data entry in various points. So that's what they're missing. They're missing some of those key things that they need to document. So it's not that they're not doing those things. They just need to document them in, I think it's 3 different systems. So I'm working with staff on that matter. The Public Assistance Division, applications for all programs are at approximately 3,200 to date. And the division's actually going to start participating in an employment incentive program. And this is income or money that was provided by the state's general revenue fund. So there's no match requirement or anything like that that's going to come from the county. And it's made to incentivize people that are either starting a job, currently employed, and are no longer participating in any of the public assistance programs. So it's an incentive for them, obviously, to maintain their employment. We've stated to the state that we're interested and we want to apply for this program. The details are yet to forthcome, and the dollar amount that we'll receive is not yet determined. But once it is up and running, the program will run, it's slotted to run July 1st of this year through July of 2023. And in the Child Support Division, to date, the division has collected over $19 million in support payments and continues to have about 7,000 child support cases that are open and active. And as you guys rewarded last month, the division is still honoring August as Child Support Awareness Month. In collaboration with Judge Kovac, Prosecutor Thompson, Clerk of Courts Dave Wadsworth, and the Sheriff's Office, the Amnesty in August program is going to take place on August 30th and 31st. And that's just designed to provide multiple mechanisms to increase child support payments cooperation. So they can call the Domestic Relations Office, or they can reach out to child support directly at our main number, 330-722-9398. Those are my updates. Any questions?
No question?
No?
Thank you
Great.
very much, Debbie.
Thank you.
Have a good day. That concludes our department updates. Do we have any public comment? Anyone from the public that wishes to address the board? Hearing none, we will move on. Steve, could I have a motion to go into executive session following discussion?
Sure. I'd like to move, we'll go into executive session following discussion for the purpose of purchasing of property and imminent litigation.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Hambley?
Yes.
Sweattick?
Yes.
Hudson?
Yes. We will go into discussion. Scott, I think you're up.
Just a couple things I want to talk about. The first is our aggregation program. I know I briefly talked to each of you about the proposal that community
You can aggregate there are various organizations out there that the consumer does have choices that are not the county run. So of those various options, the people that want to pursue that, that's fine. But I think there ought to be at least somebody in that level that's, if you will, give them the opportunity to be if they want to stay the cheapest, they can be the cheapest.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, good. We'll go ahead and I'll go ahead and talk to them and have them issue that proposal. Just a real quick update on the courthouse. I don't know if you've been over there recently, but they have foundations poured. They have foundations for all the elevators poured. They're currently working on the building foundation, and they have to do the foundation next to the 1841 courthouse. I think that's what they're working on now. So next week they should start building with block. They should installing the block around the elevator shafts. All the permits have been issued, with the exception of the finishing, the permits for the finishes. So we're ready to go with everything else. And as I mentioned previously, the guarantee maximum price number 3, we should have that I should have that this week for final review, and then it'll be presented on Tuesday for approval. And like I said, we did some value engineering last week. I think he'll be very pleased with the price. I know that
Being pleased, you mean under budget?
Under budget, yes, yes. We'll be.
Just to make clear.
We shall be. We will be under budget.
Okay, good.
So we had the ARP work sessions last week, and I know that there were a couple changes subsequent to that. I know that Veteran Services reduced their request by about $200,000, and the Sheriff's Office, after our discussion about the camera systems, that request was also reduced. So that is reflected in the scorecards that you will be receiving.
And Melinda's preparing those?
Yes, she has those. She has a couple questions, but those should be finalized today, so you should get those today. Obviously, we had a couple things, or a couple of projects that we had talked about previously, and some requests. One, the ClickShare technology for the conferencing equipment, that's actually about $115,000. I got the final quotes from a company, state bid prices, so that will be presented probably next week or the week after. There's also the revenue replacement that I don't think we talked about, of about $489,000.
Yeah, we did.
talked about
Did we
it.
did? Okay.
I don't think, and correct me if I'm wrong, that we had an actual line item for that, did we? But
We did, yeah, we didn't score
According
that.
to that email from Amy, we're going to score it like a regular project, correct? Or is that one?
No, I don't think, I thought we
We're just
just.
taking care of that?
Yeah, they were
Yeah.
exempting it from the scoring, yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
And.
you want to use that as your benchmark? Sure.
Yes. And then just the other thing, that we have budget hearings scheduled for the weeks of October 4th and October 11th. So I believe you've been notified about that.
Yep.
So, okay, that's all I had.
Thank you, Scott.
Thank you.
Great, thank you.
Debbie, Jeremy, Andy, Stephen, Holly. We'll get to Mike later. Okay. Richard?
Actually, I do have something I'd like to share, might as well take advantage. Our vehicles parked at the engineering center recently, we noticed we had a rash of our windshield wipers going bad. Find out that there's something on our windshields, tiny droplets, almost seems like tiny pieces of resin that hardened on the windshields. We found that it scrapes off pretty easy with a razor blade, but it's already destroyed a couple sets of windshield wipers, oddly. Even some of the personal vehicles were affected to a lesser degree, but it's crazy because even they think they just need new windshield wipers because you can barely see it, but you can feel it.
Is it a tree sap?
No, we don't park under any trees, and it's
Okay.
not tree sap. It almost seems like a resin that dropped and then baked onto the windshield.
So, Richard, is this a recent phenomenon?
Over the last several weeks, it seems to have happened, and it took a long time. Destroyed windshield wipers, and then realized that my windshield wipers went bad too, and the other guy says, well, mine are real bad too. It's pretty crazy. So I don't know. There's several plants, in our neighborhood. I don't know. Something happened, but that does scrape off pretty easy. But we'll have to kind of check it, see if it happens again, and then look into it or something.
But if you have it on your windshield, you have it on the rest of the vehicle as well.
Yeah.
So it's not
But
just there.
Yeah,
Andy,
but it's
have
the
you noticed
wind.
anything with your cars?
It's the
I haven't, but I guess you know what, now that you say it, I haven't noticed my wipers in the last week.
That's why I'm.
Your vehicle.
That's why I'm sharing it. Yeah, our new vehicles are bad. It's crazy. You can't see it, but you can feel it. And I suspect any vehicle parked anywhere near the engineering center's got a similar problem.
And probably all of the other.
Yes.
I mean, it's not going to just affect that area.
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
Yep. Thank you.
Thank you, Richard. We'll have to figure out some way of investigating that.
Well, maybe check with some of our neighbors. People, as to that area, if they're witnessing anything else, the same phenomenon with their vehicles. And then try to trace down where the emissions are coming from.
Thank you, Richard.
Oh, okay, thanks.
Steve?
I go ahead and bring up Senate Bill 52 if I could. Now that is a piece of legislation that was involving adding authority to the county commissioners when it comes to large utility construction and a siting authority. What we're talking about is large-scale wind and large-scale solar. It was a compromise worked through the House that, and I'll just point out last week when I went to the commissioners, we had the CCAO board meeting as well as conference. Very clearly, commissioners did not ask for this additional authority. But we ended up becoming the repository of this issue regarding, especially other parts of the state, regarding siting of these large-scale facilities. But this does affect every county. It has given additional discretion to the Board of Commissioners to identify areas where these large-scale solar or wind projects cannot be built. Likewise, that if there is an application for a large-scale siting, it actually also provides representation with the Ohio Power Siting Board, which oversees the licensings of these. Secondly, should there be an application, and the commissioners have not designated an area, that the commissioners can also prohibit or basically, I'll just say not approve that facility. So I met with Denise and Planning Department to talk about this, to do a little bit more research on it. I've talked obviously with with some other commissioners and even with our policy staff at CCO how best to process these. Now that we have this authority, which that I shared with you of the Community Advisory Bulletin, but there's also actually another training book that they're coming up with here in the next within the next month, policy staff regarding as to what the options are for county commissioners. My proposal is that we at least sit down, review this, work with our planning services. That is, should we get an application, that our county planning department not only process these applications, but also involve hopefully the planning commission in terms of providing advice to us. We can set up the criteria necessary for approval of these sites. At one point in time, I thought this is a problem we're not going to have, and when it comes, then we'll visit it. But I happened to, and I shared with some of you, at the fair, we're approached by a large property owner. There is someone actually, an active entity, looking to develop a solar field of about 500 acres within one of our townships. They're meeting with property owners, and it's pretty lucrative, in terms of the amount of money. They not only replace CAUV, but they have a considerable yearly amount that the farmers or the land property owners would receive, in addition to an escalator clause like for 30 years. So it appears that this is going to visit us sooner than we think. So I'm proposing that we obviously take a look at this, maybe work with planning and kind of identify what process we might want to take. There's obviously, if we can designate areas of unincorporated areas that we, with working with the townships, want to ahead say there can't be those kind of facilities. We have that ability. It's a may, not a shall, but it's one of those that I think in the next couple months we probably ought to try setting up some kind of county policies on how we're going to deal with this. If one of the townships wants us to look at exercising that authority and at least for some portion of it, prohibiting a large-scale solar or wind, we can take a look at that. But I think we, in the end, regardless, we ought to probably, I would suggest that we agree to involve our planning department as well as the planning commission in making those decisions.
In the bill, do individual townships have a way in their zoning to just say?
Nope.
We do not want.
This was the
Okay.
compromise. This was the compromise because that was the original proposal that the townships would. Now, there's a referendum.
But we do.
That we do.
Yes.
We have the authority.
We have the authority.
But they don't
basically.
have the authority to put
No.
it in their zoning regulations?
No, do not.
Okay.
They do not. So that's what makes us different from every other kind of land use.
Mm-hmm.
And this was the compromise area between the I'll just say those industry representatives that were pushing not to have any restrictions, and those that were pushing that everything was local, everything was done by the township referendum, and so forth. There is, regardless of what the commissioners do, there is under this bill, you notice there's also the ability for the voters to referendum and put that to the ballot as to whether that's approved.
But the interesting thing is,
Yeah.
the referendum goes to the entire county.
That's
It
correct.
doesn't go to the township.
That is correct.
Necessarily where the project is.
So putting it in your
located.
zoning is meaningless?
They can't.
Well, I won't say it's
Right.
meaningless. Our esteemed county prosecutor could provide that. But since this is brand new, I don't know whether they could make an advisory or whatever, but I think we do need to set up a process at the county level. Since this is brand new authority. We didn't ask for it, and that's what I said time and time again, every commissioner, when talking about it, says, we did not ask for this. But we were presented it because we're a county government, and that's where the state sticks a lot of things that they don't want the locals to be able to do, but they don't want the responsibility. And it's, like I said, the industry was pushing one way, local property owners were pushing the other, and we were the compromise. But there is, I think, with your agreement, we can, and I asked, like I said, Denise to do some research and get schooled up on this. Did you want to add anything in terms of your research you were able to do? I did pass this, I did suggest this, I talked to our policy people, and they thought it was a good idea to involve a county planning commission where we already have one.
Well, that's good.
Yeah.
Okay. So yes, and looking at what, I wanted to see what Ohio had right now in terms of wind and solar facilities. And right now, in between the I-71 and 70 corridor, we have 4 right now. But as Commissioner Hambley mentioned, those will most likely be forthcoming. I talked with Scott a little bit as well about this, and he mentioned community energy advisors. If perhaps we could have a conversation with them as we're ramping up this process. I think it might also be beneficial to maybe see what other counties are planning on doing. There might be some opportunities to gather some best practices as well, and also obviously involving our townships. I think that's a very important part of this process. Regarding zoning resolutions, there are sections in zoning resolutions that do address solar and wind farms, but not at the large utility scale. They're more of, how they could look on a house, for example, where they could be positioned, how high they could be. But some of the questions that I would have is, if townships cannot prohibit or restrict areas, are there opportunities to include, some screening or, some opportunities so that it could become a something that a positive opportunity for our townships, and if they are interested, we could potentially advise them on how to go about it. So,
Well, Denise, to that point, I would also be interested in knowing whether the townships, on an individual township basis, desire it or
Right.
do not desire it. Because as I understand the statute, we have the ability to designate.
That's right.
So, I mean, if a given township came to us and said, you know, we don't want this in our township, we could put that in as a prohibited area, so they won't even consider it.
Right.
We could even make it modified based upon the, because we can
Sure,
set the
with boundary
boundaries.
lines, right.
And your idea
Right.
of qualifying it in terms of that, I think when I talk to staff about that, that's what they're looking at right now.
Correct.
Is that in our process, and it's implied, I guess, the applied authority of being able to set boundaries and so forth, can you set conditions?
right,
for
that was my other
And-
question.
And that remains to be seen. I guess
Right,
it
and
is
it-
brand new law, and as, in terms of best practices, we probably are the best practices.
We'll create the best practice
Yeah.
here in Medina.
Everybody's just trying to figure out, since it's less than 2 weeks or 2 months old.
Right.
In terms of the authority, or October, I think, is when the authority begins.
Right, and I guess, I would be interested, I mean, as I read the bulletin, it really didn't provide guidance on what kind of criteria and benchmarks we should be looking at, and so do you believe that that booklet or the guidelines that are coming out later, probably in September, will include those, or?
That's their hope.
Okay.
But at this point, they're likewise working on it. That's what we were told. You can contact them too. I mean, we're members of the CCO, the
Right.
policy staff.
Okay.
John Honachet.
John? Okay.
Yeah, would be the best person that's working on this.
Okay.
Christina, did you have a
Colleen,
point?
did you have something?
No,
I thought I saw
pointing
you.
at Christina
Oh,
'cause
okay.
her hand was raised.
Sure.
Typically, something like this, it's initiated by a site plan in the local community. How does the application process begin? Does it begin at the township level?
It actually, as I understand the law, basically, they have to give notice, but it's to the power, remember, this is, under current law, the Power Siting Board is the one that does the certificate, and that's where the application goes. This intervenes in that process and says, basically, you have to give, basically what comes down to the county, a certain amount of days, and then we have a certain number of days for a public hearing and so forth, so.
Right.
But we do have upfront authority to identify areas that are not eligible for a large-scale solar or wind.
Yeah.
Right, and actually, oh, I'm sorry.
As I
Go ahead.
understand it, it goes to the Power Siting Board, then the entity, the developer,
Power siting.
then has to have a public hearing with 90 days' notice in the community. And then it comes to the commissioners, and the commissioners then have the opportunity to have a hearing.
Correct.
So there is a very high-level process that's been established. But, I mean, if it does come to us, we have to have a process in place that we process it, so.
And then actually,
Correct.
and once they actually get an application and it goes to the Power Siting Board, there's actually then one township representative and one county
Commission.
representative
Right.
as ad hoc members, voting members, for that specific application. So like I said, this is brand-new law, brand-new process. It was, as in anything, a legislative compromise.
And according to the legislation, the decision of the commissioners cannot be overruled by the OPSB, and I don't see any level of appeal
Right.
for that, so.
Other than courts. If you look through the...
Other than the
chart,
courts,
other than
right.
the courts,
Well,
they are in that chart.
that's with
actually,
everything
when you
in
go to-
life.
Yes. Yeah, well, that's true.
Isn't
Yeah.
there an opportunity for referendum?
Yeah, there is. There's still a referendum. No, there is the referendum.
Right.
And the
Yeah,
referendum,
the
right.
referendum. But other than that, there
Right.
still is the courts, and there's actually a much more complicated chart on, public siting board.
Yes,
Actually,
I read that,
there's a
too.
link- Yeah, there's a link.
It says it's a 6-step process, but there's probably really a 20-step process.
Yeah, there is. Yeah,
There are sub-processes within the process.
But the question, do we want to get in front of it, and who do we want
Absolutely.
to have in the front of it for us? And I would argue that our Planning Services Department, this is why you were created.
Well,
And
thank
the
you.
Planning Commission, this is, I think, a specific role that would work well to get their advice in any application we would get.
Right.
And I think with collaboration and discussion that, I do feel confident that with the strong relationships we have with our townships, that we can make this work.
Yep.
Yep. So I concur.
Okay.
Good, great.
Planning,
And-
Super.
be it
All right, thank you.
a repository.
Did you have anything that you wanted to add, Scott, or no, you're good? Okay. All right, thank
Super.
you.
Thanks.
Thanks, Denise. Jim, talk about Jake breaks?
Oh, yeah, if you wouldn't mind. Yeah, I wanted to bring up, from a constituent concern, correspondence with Andy. This is regarding a request for a no Jake break sign on a county highway, Columbia Road, between 42 and Smith Road, I think it is, where the railroad tracks are at. And I guess there had been some conversation last year with Township to do that. The county has the authority. I'm interested, I guess they didn't act. I'm certainly interested in us pursuing this. And we could talk with, if it's all right with you, we can talk with the Highway Engineer's Office to determine what the process is to pass a resolution.
Yeah, it's just
Should we?
just noise ordinance resolution.
Okay.
The county or the township can, on a county or township road, pass the resolution.
Okay.
Can we do it on a general basis? I mean, the statute that I read did not seem to indicate that we needed to have a specific road or designation. So if we could pass a noise ordinance in general, a resolution in general, then you could place signs as may be appropriate, which is quoted from the statute.
It's been a year or so since I read the statute. I was almost thinking there was, and it's been a while since I've read it, but I was thinking it was almost site-specific. But I could be mistaken.
I mean, my concerns would make it site-specific, I mean, based upon complaints and evaluation of the concerns. Rather than say general, put a Jake break sign, whatever, wherever the highway engineer gets a complaint. We might have no Jake break signs.
Have signs everywhere.
Everywhere. Which means it's nowhere. Yeah.
So maybe that's
law
something
enforcement, yeah.
we can charge our prosecutor's office, Civil Division, Mike Lyons, with taking a look at and maybe giving us some advice on a resolution for that.
Okay.
Okay,
Thank you. Thank you. Okay.
Thank you.
All right. And the only other thing I wanted to bring up, there are regional briefings. CCO has a regional briefing. The closest one is on September 2nd over in Summit County. I do intend on going that. On the agenda will be Senate Bill 52, in addition to ARPA, the process for that. And obviously, there's a lot of discussion about how each of us are spending money or planning on spending the dollars. I think we should be circulating. Montgomery County did a presentation where there is usually this very glossy publication as to how they're expending the dollars. But a lot of us, I'll say most of the ones that I've talked to are very conservative and spent very little. They're kind of waiting not only to the final guidance, but also very concerned that these are investments for the long term. So I think we're on a similar path with many of them.
My question when I saw that brochure is, how much did it cost them to do this?
Well, they presented that at, they're Montgomery County. They got $132 million, so maybe they took a little bit out of that.
Yeah, okay.
But they did a presentation at NACO, and that was left over. That was from the NACO presentation. The county administrator for Montgomery County was there. They're pretty large.
I would suggest we not do a full color brochure.
Well, we don't need to. I think we ought to have something more in scale with what we do. One, we communicate to the public how we're spending it and what the categories are.
Right.
But I think that I just wanted to show you, like, that they were one of the examples. But we had there was another county that has like 24,000 population talking about. And this is maybe the department heads be interested in this process. The three commissioners hold up with their EMA director, which is kind of interesting because the former military, very organized. They sat down with a board, and they wrote everything down, brainstormed, and came up with their list on their own without any department heads, which is kind of interesting approach. So, and they're supposed to. Well, no, it's
a military approach.
No, it's the military approach, but they have promised to send. I contact them. They're going to send me they have a checklist of everything that any project comes through that they have to follow. So as soon as they send that to me, we'll get that circulated. But they were also one of the presenters. So you had this, like one of the very smallest counties, and then of course one of the very largest, and their approaches are
very different,
considerably different. Yeah. Anyway, that's it.
Okay, thank you. Colleen?
Yes, I asked Christina from EMA to come today. EMA is going to be in the process in the next year of expanding their facility, and the funds that are available, and again, any questions that you have on the specifics to Christina, the funds they had available will go a lot farther should we go out on the building instead of up due to ADA and elevators and so forth. So I had Jeremy price out actually moving the sewer line, because the sewer line is right under a proposed extension. And for Jeremy to move the sewer line out, I talked to him this morning, we're talking approximately $75,000. Since it is a sewer project, it would qualify for our ARP money and would be a county contribution then to the EMA projects if you feel that this is a worthy use of the money. I'm in favor of it. If Christine, if you want to come up for any questions, simply because EMA will be able to better serve the community using the funds that they have available going out instead of
up. Yeah.
So, Christina, to lay some foundation for this, no pun intended. This building is the building that was donated to the county. It's located in Chippewa Lake on Heatherhead.
It's actually located in Lafayette Township, interestingly enough.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. So, explain what the proposal is to do.
So the building as it stands right now is 4,400 square feet. It is, we have equipment not too long after we moved there. We have equipment already overflowing into the parking lot. We have 2 large bays that are able to fit mobile command and one of the combination trucks and trailers, and then 2 smaller bays that really, for the most part, can only fit a personal, I don't want to say personal vehicle, but I'd say POV. It can only fit a truck. So what we want to do is be able to expand the 2 front bays, let them be longer. We can put more equipment inside, and then have a training facility not only for the all-hazard team members, but also for our volunteer pool, which we have 2 very robust volunteer pools that do a lot of work on our behalf. So the dilemma is that we have $800,000 in 2 separate pots of money, $400 each from capital grants, and then we received $100,000 from Nexus. So we have $900,000. $800,000 needs to be spent in a certain way. The other 100 I'm kind of saving for the things that the grant won't be able to pay for. But the idea with the property being small, we wanted to go up. And each of the architects expressed concern that going up may not be the right thing to do because of the existing foundation. Plus, there's added expenses, like Commissioner Swedick said, where you have to have ADA compliance. One of the architects estimated that an elevator was $120,000. So if you just look at the grant money that we have, $800,000, $120 of that is a big chunk. So one of the architects actually proposed going into the parking lot. Well, we can't go into the parking lot because of that underground. So if we're able to move that underground, we'll be able to more efficiently spend the money when it comes to expanding out as opposed to up.
Yeah, I know when I first came in and we had the proposal to I received the property from Lafayette Township. So Christy and I had that conversation. My concern was the cost of going up.
Yeah.
And knowing, having gotten the capital grant for you, about how that was going to take it.
Right.
So this obviously is a more economical solution. I'm in favor of including this in with the ARPA. I guess that we're going to be scoring and so forth.
So will we need a resolution for next week to get Jeremy started on this then?
Yeah, I would need to get a resolution for design services to get that moving.
Okay. You're all
So I
good
guess it
with
was just scored.
It was just.
Oh, okay, so you're asking actually, go ahead.
So Jeremy, you I think produced this drawing, is that
That's correct.
accurate?
Thank you,
So
Jeremy.
you're comfortable with the flows and everything else, obviously? Okay.
This really lets us do a lot more. Thank you.
And so what is the difference between the proposal 1 and proposal 2? One's about 70 and the other's 80
He
or
was
90.
saying this one was more like 70 and this one was more like 90, 95.
I guess if there was any potential expansion beyond that, we would want to move that sewer line farther to the western property line, just so we wouldn't have to move it again.
Right.
But if there's no reason that you think that it'll extend past that, we're good. We can save some money.
Because I think that extension goes into the parking lot further. Is that right?
Right.
Yeah, I don't think that.
You want to give up all your parking?
Yeah, we wouldn't want to give up all of our parking. The only option would be to start buying properties around us to be able to expand. But as it sits right now, the building is on its own parcel, and for the most part, the building fits right on, I want to say maybe 9 foot of a side yard clearance, 12 foot. It's very small. And then the parking lot itself, that is its own parcel. There's no other added room around it. So to be able to move the pipe or the underground further, it probably just wouldn't be useful. It really wouldn't. We would take up too much parking space.
I look at it and say, the high end of proposal 1 is 75, as Commissioner Swedick said. The low end of the estimate on proposal 2 is 80. So for that $5,000 difference, would it be better to have the sewer line outside of any of the parking lot area, so that if you did want to expand in the future, you could?
I would not tell you no.
So
What do you think? You think it's closer to 90 on that one?
I'm going to guess probably closer to the 85, 90, just because you're going to have to go through, I believe it was close to 115 foot of pavement replacement along Heather Hedge, because that sewer main, I believe, is in the road there. So we're trying to minimize the amount of pavement.
Okay, so in order to get into the street and connect?
Yeah, it's either option. You're going into, you'll be in the street, but you're just going to
be a shorter
exactly
on the
a
other.
shorter, less pavement we have to replace.
All right. I guess I would seriously evaluate both options.
Yeah, take a look, yeah.
Thank you. I didn't expect this.
We will go ahead with the resolutions needed to move forward with the project.
Thank you. Thank you.
I'm good with that.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Christine. Thank you. I don't have anything. If there's nothing else, we're going to go. Stan? What do you have, Stan?
I think we're going to adjourn.
No.
Oh.
We're going to go into executive session, though.
I did want to make a comment before you adjourn.
Okay.
I attended the Seville Zoning and Planning Board of
Can we
Public
have
Affairs.
Yeah, Stan, would you come up to the microphone?
I attended Seville, my name is Stan Sheets, I'm an attorney here in Medina. I attended the Seville Zoning and Planning Board of Zoning Appeals, and subsequently the zoning meeting last night, and the Sheets project, my namesake, gas station and convenience store, was formally approved on the 11-acre site. All the variances have been granted and the zoning changed, and they're looking at making a $6 million investment in the village of Seville on the southeast quadrant of Interstate 76 and State Route 3, directly adjacent to the Shell station. And I'm thrilled to have them coming. I've been working with them for almost 6 years. I wasn't the one that actually ended up finally getting them there. Their property had been sold and other players involved, but I've been lobbying for them to look at the Plaza site down at Lodi, also in lieu of the Medina Township site where they were not welcomed, and we're still in negotiations about that also. So I just wanted to bring you up to date. Thank you very much.
So that's the Easton Farm, right?
Yes.
Okay. Hate to see it go, but I understand. Okay, we are going to go into executive session. We will come out of executive session and formally retire our meeting.
notice from solid waste.
We good?
Because we're August.
Okay, it is 11:22 a.m. and we are out of executive session, back in general session.
Move to adjourn.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Hambley?
Yes.
Sweattick?
Yes.
Hudson?
Yes. Thank you and have a great week.